better. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So welcome everybody. We're super excited to get started. I'm Brenda Geary, and I'm coming to you from San Diego, California. And my co-host, partner in crime this evening is Camille Miles. And we're both excited to share with you the life-changing benefits of these products from our company as they relate specifically to children on the spectrum. And so we're going to go through the details. It's going to be a little bit sciencey, but we're also going to give you examples of individuals that have had really amazing results. I was introduced to this company back in August of 2011 when I was having significant health issues myself. And because of the science, I said yes. And it's been life-changing for me, and it's been my joy and pleasure, along with my other business partners, to be able to share with other individuals. And one of the individuals that we have that we've just been able to partner with has been Camille Miles. She's a pharmacist. She's a mother of 4 amazing kiddos. And her oldest son, CJ, Caleb, has autism. And so what I want to do right now, just so that you can kind of get her story, is I'm going to turn it over to Camille so that she can share her story and just kind of give you a sense of why she, as a pharmacist, said yes to sharing these products with her son. And she can also share the results that she's gotten. And I'm actually going to go ahead, and while she's talking, I'm going to share my screen a little bit. So go ahead. I'm going to turn it over to you, Camille.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, Brenda. Just a little bit about our story and why I said yes as a pharmacist was because after my son Caleb, or CJ, got diagnosed with autism, we were in a desperate situation. Like many others, for those of you who aren't familiar, children with autism, they have, speech delays and developmental delays and behaviors and just repetitive behaviors. And so he wasn't sleeping. He was allergic to so many things, super itchy. And so we were just in a vulnerable place, looking for answers, looking for hope. And the doctors, they didn't give us many options besides just medicating him. And so I was just trying to find a different way because if he didn't have to be on it, then I was open. And so these products basically just fell in my lap. And an awesome friend reached out after seeing a post that our child had autism and just linked us with some people who had a great story as well. And so after hearing their story and just hearing more about the products and researching, I was, as a pharmacist, I was just like, wow, not only for, kids on the spectrum, but these products are amazing if they really do what they say they do. I mean, I was also a little skeptical because there are so many options out there for parents with kids on the spectrum. They're try this, this is groundbreaking, and so I've heard a lot of treatments and supplements and things like that. And so for me, I was like, is this real? Is this different than what has been presented to me thus far? Is it going to work? We really want something that's going to work. And so now I can say yes because we've seen great results. But just going into it and even during research, the fact that our products have research that I can even find on credible sources was huge for me, especially for a supplement to have that. It blows my mind. Just from a pharmaceutical perspective, because just like similar to, a regular supplement like vitamin C, you don't see, published articles about it, especially peer reviewed. And so, and I've heard a lot of products and I'm like, okay, well, what science do you guys have? And it's like, oh, it just works, which is, testimonials are great. And I love them, but to have science backing these products is huge for me.
Awesome, awesome. That's pretty powerful. What I'm going to do right now. So tell me a little bit about. So for you, when you first started CJ on Protan, our product, tell me a little bit about what it was like. What were you seeing? What was it like?
Yeah, so we started it, I think it was mid-January, and he at the time had 6 to 10 words. Anything he said was really prompted besides that. So you would just have to say, CJ, say hi, Brenda. And he would say hi, Brenda. He didn't have any eye contact. Even when prompted, it was really just really quick. And he wasn't sleeping through the night. He's always had sleeping issues. And we had just found out he was allergic to so many things and sensitive to, I think total was about 56 to 60 things. And so when we started the products, it was actually within the week he was sleeping through the night, which is crazy. It was really quick. I remember, texting some friends like, oh my gosh, he's sleeping through the night, because, he was up every night. And so I was up every night. And so for me, that was a game changer. We all know what sleep does. If you've ever been sleep deprived, your brain just doesn't function like it's supposed to. And so even if it was just that, it's just that we were both sleeping, that would have been great. But within 2 weeks, he had his first sentence, and it was crazy. I love to animate the story because it's so cool. Like he was 4 at the time, and the most he had ever said was a 3-word sentence, and that was very prompted, like say this. And so he had never said a sentence or strung words together. And so he walked into my husband's office. And because my husband and I were talking, and I was like, are you going to the store? And he was like, yeah, I'm going to take the kids to the store. I'll leave CJ with you, because CJ didn't like going to the store. It's just, all his sensory issues. It was too loud, just overstimulating. And so usually just one of us went to the store. So he was going to stay with me. And then he just walks in my husband's office, and he's like, Daddy, can I go to the store with you too? And my husband, Josh, was just like, babe, come here. And I was like, what? He's like, did you tell CJ to come say this? I'm like, no, he's in his room. And he's like, no, he's not. He's in here. Come here.
I love it.
And it was amazing just how, just we could talk to our son. He could talk to us. And you can imagine how frustrating it is just to not be able to communicate when you're trying to. It was really hard for him. He would have fits and tantrums, and we wouldn't know why. And so, yeah, it's from there on, he just started talking more and more. And so I love, love, love these products because, they gave us so much. I really don't know where we would be as a family without them, just because just knowing what they do in his body and his mind and his brain and all throughout, it's so cool for me because I'm a nerd and I love the science. But for even people on the outside who were friends, who they walk in the house and he looks in their eyes and he talks to them and he says hi and he can hold a conversation, and that's huge for us and for him. And so I remember telling my friend before we started the products a couple weeks before, I longed to just have a conversation with CJ. He's my firstborn. I love him. I love all my kids, but I just want to talk to him and just know what's going on in his head. And I'm so thankful just for just the gift that my friends were willing to step out of their comfort zone and just reach out and say, hey, we might have something.
Yeah.
And Brenda, it's changed our lives. And I get choked up because I love him just the way he is. But I don't want to change him, but I do love watching him grow. And I can't even I used to journal everything that he would say in the beginning, and I can't even journal anymore because there's just so much.
Camille, let me interrupt you for 1 second. There's some folks that are on phone, just phone. There's a number ending in 4563. can you please mute your phones? If you're on a line, please mute your phone because we're picking up a lot of background noise. So hit the mute button or *6 yourself, okay? Would really appreciate it. If you're on the phone, extension 4563, last 4 digits, please mute yourself so that we can not have the noise competing, okay? Thank you. Okay.
Thanks, Brenda. How's my volume?
Your volume is wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome. But yeah, so life-changing products, like it's changed our lives. Yeah, I could keep talking and talking, but I feel like I'm rambling now, but
no,
yeah,
you're doing fantastic. Thank you so much for just sharing your heart. I appreciate it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen. So we're going to talk, what the purpose of this call tonight is really to, Camille's story, we have heard that story from so many other people, different versions of it, but what we're going to do now is we're going to share with you why the products work like they do and how they work like they do from a benefits perspective, okay? So let's see here. So tonight, we're going to talk to you about the science of nutrigenomics. And the science of nutrigenomics is really about using compounds, plant-based compounds, and how those plant-based compounds in specific ratios can impact gene expression. So it's all natural, it's not pharmaceutical, but these compounds are put together in a specific way that do impact genetic expression. So here's a picture here, and I think, Camille, if you can correct me, but like the picture in the upper right-hand corner was the picture that Josh had posted on Facebook, right?
That's it, yeah.
That's the one. And I understand that CJ is also, one of the things that putting him on these products has done is that it's really unlocked his artistic capabilities. And you see that picture right there, Thomas the Train, drew it freehand from memory.
Yes, he's a great artist.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And so also I understand that some folks that his teachers unprompted have all come to you and said, what's going on with CJ?
Absolutely, yeah. So his teachers have asked me, like, what are you giving this kid? Like, he is a new kid. Mm-hmm. And even his therapist, we didn't tell anybody that we had changed his regimen or given him anything new. And even his speech therapist was like, are you guys giving this kid a new supplement? She said it jokingly. And I was like, actually, we are. Just because they saw the drastic results, and just from even they come every week, and he gets about, 35 hours of therapy a week. And so they are with him a lot. And so they could see the difference. And one of his therapists was in tears because of just how much growth she's seen, because she had been with us the longest. And she was just like, you guys are doing something different. There's no way, like, he drastically jumped this high. So it's just so cool. And then even the picture of him at the store, like, he's just at the store shopping, putting everything in the basket, wanting to pay, pushing the, it was just, for me, that was a moment just where I was just like, wow, this is great. Because I remember being in the store, and he wouldn't stop screaming, and he would just throw things, and just feeling overwhelmed just going to the store. And just the fact that he said, Mommy, you're going to the store, can I go with you? I was like, yes.
Yes, you can go. That's fantastic. And I understand also that he's got friends, he's going to a new school, and they're coming over for a birthday party. I mean, you guys, as you're listening to this, these are life-changing. This is about changing people's lives, and not just for kids, for CJ, but also for his whole family. It's like just, the fact that he's now 5 years old, right? And his life has been changed forever is super duper exciting.
Absolutely.
So what, this next slide, Carmen was not able to join us this evening. She had a family emergency, and when you guys were listening on another Facebook Live, she had talked about Aiden, and Aiden is 7 years old, and he was nonverbal, and just lots of issues similar to CJ. And so again, one of our business partners reached out because Carmen had made a comment on her Facebook page about, struggling and just kind of wanting to be able to connect with her son. And so she initially, similar to Camille, was skeptical. And she's like, man, I've tried so many things. And I just, I don't know that I want to try one more thing. But we had her talk to a couple of folks who have had really fantastic results on the products. And so she said yes. So she started Aiden on them. And now again, he's similar. He's talking more. He's actually talking, and he is speaking in sentences. He used to only want to eat one thing, and now he's actually eating different things. And she takes great pleasure in being able to post on Facebook the different types of things that Aiden is eating. He recently was chosen to go to a camp that DAC from the Dallas Cowboys put on for kids with special needs, and he was there, and there's over 1,000 kids there. And typically with kids on the spectrum, you would think that she was worried about the fact that he might have a meltdown, or just struggling with being around that many kids. And he was great and amazing all 3 days. And then on the right-hand side, you see Aiden playing a video game for the very, very first time ever. So he's doing things that he's never done before. One of the big things that Carmen often shares is the fact that previously Aiden didn't want to be touched and just was really, really tough from that comfort, affection perspective. And yet now they do, he'll say, Mommy, I want to hold your hand, or, Mom, we can snuggle. So he now is saying that he wants that affection, and he's giving that affection, and he'll bring Carmen a book so that she can read it to him. And so that's just, super powerful. So Carmen is, again, over the moon with respect to what these products have done for her family. So we're going to transition now, and Camille, can you talk a little bit about, kind of cover these points, because you're the expert here. So my understanding from the people that I've talked with and the experts I've talked with is that these are the key elements needed to treat a child with autism.
Yes. So if you're looking at the slide, or if you're on the phone, the first element is just to reduce oxidative stress. And I think Brenda's going to go more into that. But briefly, what oxidative stress is just damage in your body on a cellular level, just simply. So if you think you're familiar with the word stress, so you just think stress or damage on your cellular level. So in kids on the spectrum, this is huge. There's been several studies that just show how oxidative stress is linked to autism. And so if you can reduce that and cause the body just to heal faster, in their brains, all over their bodies, then it'll work better and it'll function better. And so I don't want to go too much into it, because I don't know how much you're going to go into it, Brenda. But
we'll go into more detail, but just the fact that really addressing these 5 things.
Yes. And so lowering inflammation, a lot of our kiddos just have inflammation in the gut, in the brain. And so that can cause many problems. Increased glutathione. I know so many kids who they have to get, the glutathione injections or transdermals, but it doesn't last that long. And so I love that the products that we have increases it 300%, which is huge. And I know that even glutathione helps to our bodies get rid of toxins, just to detoxify, which kids on the spectrum, they retain, or they keep toxins in their body, which can cause the inflammation and the oxidative stress. And so something as simple as, like an air freshener, or something that a normal person can just detox out of their body, may stay in a kid's body, and then it gets retained, or it goes into their tissues, and then it goes into their gut and their brains. And so it can cause all kinds of problems. And so that's why I love glutathione, because it has so many great functions in the body. And another thing we know, mitochondrial function is huge, especially in neurodevelopmental disorders like autism or ADHD. Asperger's and even Alzheimer's and things like that. And so if we can improve the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell, then our bodies just function better. It's like clearer. And so that's huge for kids with autism. And then a huge one is the gut function. If you're not familiar, about 70 to 80% of our immunity or immune system is tied to our gut. And so if you have an unhealthy gut, you have an unhealthy brain and body. And so gut function is really big, which is why CJ had so many allergies. He had leaky gut. He was particles were going in him, and it's just toxic. And so all these things cause a whole bunch of just harm and toxicities to the kids' bodies, which leads to all the delays and things like that. So
all the things that we don't want. Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you. So oxidative stress. A lot of people don't know what oxidative stress is. And so that oxidative stress is literally, like Camille was saying, is literally damage to the cells of our body. And for those, we're not going to show it on this webinar, but there's actually a ABC primetime investigative report that if you go to www.abcliveit.com, you can watch that. And it is a totally third-party review of the flagship product Protandim. So we're going to talk to you about a number of different products that are that all work together, and they work separately but also together to really help your kids to get the best possible outcome. And so watch that on your own, or ask the person that invited you on this webinar to send you the link to that. But Camille, can you go ahead and explain oxidative stress and why it's such a big deal?
Absolutely. So if you think of an apple and you cut the apple, it turns brown, right? So that is oxidation. And we have that same process going on in our bodies. No, our bodies aren't turning brown, but they are going through oxidative stress. And so there is damage. There's basically decay going in our bodies. And so it's almost like rusting from the inside out. And you can see on the slide, if you can see the slide, just how the free radicals cause the oxidative stress. Free radicals is a term that's a buzzword these days, but if you think about it, things like antioxidants are what neutralizes free radicals. So free radicals are just things that damage our cells on a simple level. So these free radicals that are bumping all over our bodies, trying to damage anything they bump into, they are going to cause oxidative stress. This oxidative stress, which is just damage to our cells, is going to cause aging, disease, and lead to death. And so, so if all of this stuff is happening, what causes oxidative stress? You can think about pollution, pesticides, poor diet, exercise, or either too much or too little, radiation, smoking, and so many other things.
Everything around us is leading to that oxidative stress. We can't get away from it, and our bodies make so much of that oxidative stress that we can't stay in front of it. So as we age, and especially with our kiddos with autism, they have high levels of that oxidative stress.
Absolutely. And they have, like you said, Brenda, we can't get in front of it, but even more so with kids on the spectrum, it's even worse because of just how their body makeup. And so that was a great point. I love that you said we can't get away from it because everybody has it. We all have oxidative stress, not just kids on the spectrum, but everybody has it. And so that's just a good reminder that these products are great for everybody. But if you think of a little kid who can't fight off these free radicals as well as a typical human, then this is something to keep in mind.
Yeah. Awesome. And so Protandim, what it does is it lowers that oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. There is no other product on the market, period. Not a pharmaceutical, not a supplement that will lower oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days and by up to 70% in 120 days. And so that's powerful that we have something that's that profound on lowering that root. So let me go ahead and cover this wheel real quick, Camille. So when you think about oxidative stress, why is it a big deal? It's a big deal because it literally is linked at the root cause of hundreds of issues. And here you have brain, you know, you're looking at, like Camille was saying, these neurodegenerative issues, and autism is right there. So we always show this wheel because we want you guys to see that everything comes back to oxidative stress. So Camille, want to take it away?
Sure. Let me just move this. So Brenda just mentioned Protandim. So if you're listening, you're probably like, Protandim? What's Protandim? So Protandim is one of the products. It's a Nrf2 synergizer, and it reduces oxidative stress an average of 40% in 30 days, which is huge. If you just think about it in simple terms, if you wanted to, let's just say you had a stressful environment, think of my house with 4 kids running around. Sometimes it's a circus in here. If that was going on in your cells and you wanted to reduce that, would you want to? Yes, absolutely. So Protandim does that in our bodies, which is great. It's the most potent Nrf2 activator on the market right now. And I love how it works because it's part of the nutrigenomic line, which it's a nutritional supplement turning on and off genes, like regulating gene expression, like from pharmacists. That is huge. Like using natural ingredients, 5 natural ingredients to regulate survival genes that our body needs. Genes to stop inflammation, things like that. Not saying it treats or cures anything, but our body's natural Nrf2 pathway, it revs up these super turbo enzymes that are supposed to just basically fight off the free radicals. I always think of like Nrf2. From the first time I heard this, like Nerf, I always thought of a Nerf gun. So I always think of Nrf2 as like a Nerf gun, just like fighting off the radicals, like zoom, 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 and just boosting our system, our survival genes to help do all those things, detoxify our bodies, stop inflammation and things like that. So that's not necessarily the product treating that. That's our body's natural way to fight off this oxidative stress. So our bodies are made to do that, and Protandim just activates it, which I love. So I love that we have US and global patents, which is great on the exact ratios. And like I said before, it's huge. We have peer-reviewed studies from major universities, which we have the science to back it, which is, from a pharmaceutical perspective, is great because that's unheard of. And I love that it's helping our body make antioxidants. If you just take an antioxidant like vitamin C or beta carotene or, you know, things like that, all the berries that you always see in the grocery store, those are good for you. I don't want you to stop eating berries and fruits, but we want to get ahead of it. That is a 1-to-1 ratio. So every vitamin C or antioxidant will neutralize 1 free radical molecule. That's 1-to-1 per cell. But if you have the Nrf2 pathway activated, it's 1-to-1 million. That's easy math, right? Yes. So I love how one said it. It's like a Dixie cup versus a fire hose on a house fire. You know, it's a Dixie cup with the antioxidants, just pouring it on the fire, which is just putting a dent on it. Not even a dent. And then if you have a fire hose in every room hosing down the fire, then you can actually, you know, stop the fire. And so I love that example because it just speaks to me, because we all hear about antioxidants, but if we could rev up our body to make them, that is huge. It's like, and this is 1-to-1 million per second per cell. So that is huge because we're really getting ahead of it. I mean, you have anything to add, Brenda?
No, that's fantastic. I'm getting excited myself, and I've been around for 6 years now. I like how you said that 1/1 million every second, and then and like you said, in every single cell of our body. That's awesome. So let's see what the next. Let me see something here. Let's see. Oh, and so, you know, Camille was talking about this, the validation, and so we have had so many really prestigious research institutions do peer-reviewed. They've spent their own money to study a branded supplement. You guys, they're not these, Harvard and Texas Tech and Virginia Commonwealth, LSU, the American Heart Association, they're not going to spend their money studying snake oil. They're just not going to do it. And so when you watch that ABC primetime, it's going to be interesting because they're going to tell you that studies are just now starting to be done on the efficacy of Protandim. And now fast forward about 8 years, and we now have 23 published studies on a website called pubmed.gov. And Camille, can you talk to the importance of that website and why it's such a differentiator for us to have those peer-reviewed studies on PubMed?
Yes. So in pharmacy school, we had a literature course where we had to learn how to basically study the research. And so there were only a few credible sources, and PubMed was one of them. And so it's basically like where every doctor goes to find research and other, healthcare professionals. So for me, that was huge, because usually if you type in a nutritional supplement, you're not going to find anything on PubMed. This is published medicine. And so for there to actually be journal articles there and studies there was huge. And for other universities to be studying it, that's like third parties, like that's like unheard of. Because usually, your own company will fund a study, but for third parties to want to study it, they knew that this was big.
It's different from everything else that's out there. Absolutely. So Camille talked about the fact that your mitochondria are super critical as it relates to autism. And the company, about a year ago now, I think, came out with a product that activates another pathway in the body that's all about mitochondria. Camille, can you talk about that, please?
Sure. So this product I love because, just a brief story, we put my son on it and we found out he could read, which is huge. Not saying that it treated anything or cured anything, but when you have in your body bad mitochondria, it affects everything, because this is the powerhouse of the cell. And if you have a healthy powerhouse, you are going to have healthy cells. If you don't, you're going to have damaged, unhealthy, sick, weak cells. And so this was awesome because we gave him the Nrf2 and it just started repairing, his mitochondria and his body's ability to, just repair. And so I think it works in conjunction together with the previous Protandim Nrf2 because they work together. The Nrf2 is the Nerf gun fighting off the defense, the radicals, and the Nrf2 is more like the offense because it's boosting your mitochondria.
Awesome. Just 1 second.
You can add anything.
Okay, awesome. Sorry. Okay, so no, what you're saying is resonating with me. Just the fact that, again, and what I love about these products, you guys, is that I didn't have the picture on the Nrf2, but these are all plant-based. So Protandim is 5 botanicals in a specific synergy that reduces oxidative stress, and now you have this product that's for mitochondria, and once again, it's 5 specific plant ingredients that in the specific proportion is activating that pathway. And I believe I have a picture here. So I'll just share Adrian's story real quick. So Adrian is much older, and she on the spectrum, and she was having lots and lots of issues. And so she was also on a pharmaceutical called Abilify, and she had gained a lot of weight and just having a ton of issues. And she was, they had reached out, and one of our business partners is a pharmacist. And so she had said, would love to get, Adrian on Protandim. So she started taking Protandim. And just, you guys, pictures speak 1,000 words. If you look at the picture of Adrian before, she's medicated, there's just no life in her eyes, you know? I mean, it's just like she's kind of there, you know? But then you see, I guess, you know, 5 months later, after being on Protandim, and she is vibrant. You see the look at her eyes. And then the picture on the right-hand side, you guys, this picture over here with the red cap on, here's what happened. Just what Camille is saying. So she had been really doing a great job just on the Protandim and Axio, but when Nrf1 came out and her mother added Nrf1 to her cocktail, just transformational speaking, laughter, telling jokes, again, just taking her ability to function and to be present and to be vibrant a whole nother level. And the only change between the picture that's on the left with her on Protandim to the picture on the right is the fact that her mother added the Nrf1 product to what she was taking. Amazing.
That's awesome.
So, Camille, what you know, again, we all know that gut health is really important. Can you talk about why gut health is especially important for kids on the spectrum and why you like our ProBio?
Yes, absolutely. So if you're familiar with gut functions in kids on the spectrum, they're usually really bad, horrible. Usually most pediatricians don't really know, you know, what to do. So CJ, my son, he had bowel issues, I mean, all his life, but there was a time period where he had diarrhea or loose bowels for 45 days. And he would just go on and off between constipation or diarrhea. And we just kept trying so many different things, different probiotics, but so probiotics, majority of them, they actually don't get to where they need to be. They need to go deep down into your gut. And so if it doesn't have any technology, usually you don't receive the most benefit out of the probiotic. And so one huge thing that I love about the Physique ProBio is that it has a BioTrack technology, which is huge because it coats it so that it gets to where it needs to be. Each layer dissolves where it needs to be based on the acid in your gut, whether it's your stomach or your small intestine or large intestines. And so you can get everything you need at the right time, which is huge, especially for kids on the spectrum, because a lot of them have leaky gut or colitis or just constipation issues, lots of inflammation in there. And so if we can heal the gut, that'll actually cause a lot of healing in other places. If you have a leaky gut or unhealthy gut, you have a leaky, unhealthy brain. And so I also like that it has Wellmune, which is going to help boost or enhance your immune system, which kids on the spectrum have a very impaired immunity. They have a low immune system, which is why they get sick a lot, and they can sometimes be super itchy and have rashes and eczema and allergies and things like that. And so our probiotic actually has both of those. And so it's great because there's a lot of bad bacteria, bad guys that are in our little kids' tummies. And we need to flourish their tummies with the good guys. And so I love it. It's great. They're smaller now so that kids can swallow them, which is great. And so I love that they changed the formulation. So it doesn't have to be refrigerated, which is huge because you can travel with it and you can take it to school and things like that. And so those are some just little things that we appreciate about it.
Mm-hmm. And I know that for me, and for those of you guys that might be listening to this on the replay, I didn't have any idea that most of the, all these probiotics out there have a ton of, millions and millions of colony forming units, but that they only maybe 4% of those get to where they're supposed to get to, because like Camille was saying about the stomach acids. But with ours, the BioTrack, literally my understanding is that about 70% of the healthy bacteria gets to where it needs to go. And then the other thing is that our probiotic is also time released. So it has the opportunity to travel the whole length of everywhere it's got to go. Awesome. So we've talked about Protandim, lowering that oxidative stress. Camille addressed that at the beginning. We've talked about Protandim Nrf2. We talked about Nrf1, helping to repair the mitochondria. And we've talked about the gut now with ProBio. And now we're going to go ahead and move, and actually this slide is out of, what do you call it? Like, I guess a duplicate here, sorry. Move that over. Okay, so let's talk about Axio. Axio is Nrf2 for the brain. So we're activating the brain so that the brain functions better, and we have a healthy, it's marketed as an energy drink. And Camille and I are in agreement that that is not in anywhere near the best way to describe Axio. Axio is literally brain food. It penetrates the blood-brain barrier, and it really helps with that mental focus and mental concentration and clarity. And so for those of you guys that are watching this, if you just want to drink it just because it's going to boost your energy, that's great. But specifically for kids on the spectrum, it's powerful. So Camille, go ahead and take it away.
Absolutely. I love Axio. This was the first product that CJ tried, and, within days he was sleeping, just because, like you said, it's just activating, healing our brain. It's crossing the blood-brain barrier. And so if you think about how I talked about the Nrf2 pathway for Protandim, this activates Nrf2 in our brains. And so, our body is meant to fight off all this stress in our brains, but it needs to be activated. And so the fact that we have a drink that can do that just blows my mind. And I love it because we've seen drastic results on it. And even me, myself, like, I think it does great things for me. And I'm not on the spectrum, maybe to some people, but but I just love that for kids on the spectrum who their brains, there's even been studies that their brains are less developed than, our normal brain. They just need that extra help just to get the synapses all connecting. And I love that Axio, not only does it like help them focus, but it's almost like, a friend says, like, it unlocks this box in their brain. It's like, for example, CJ, he knew so much information that we didn't know he knew because he couldn't communicate it. But it was there because once he started drinking this drink, he was writing his numbers 1 to 100 and, spelling things backwards and, talking. So just huge things that, our brain needs to be healthy. And so I love how Brenda called it liquid brain food. I like to say the same thing because this is good stuff. It is so much more than an energy drink. It is helpful for, when you do need that pickup, but it's also just, you can focus and you can concentrate, even for a normal person, but especially for kids. We've even seen cool stuff that kids who have ADHD, ADD, just how drastic results. And I think Brenda will talk about that later, but just how they can focus better, their handwriting and penmanship improves just because their body is healing. Not because anything that the products are treating or mitigating or anything like that, but the fact that these, again, natural products are in the drink as well, are gonna just, I don't know, it's just crazy. It's just how it's great stuff.
I always tell people, these are not miracle products. And again, like Camille said, we're not making any claims here, guys. We are not saying that any one of these products treats, mitigates, cures, prevents any disease or heals. What we're saying is that we have miracle bodies, and when you give the body what it needs, then the body does the work. And the fact that this is about nutrigenomics, again, this is about activating the body. More and more, you guys are going to be hearing about activation, activating the body so that it does the work, so that it it can help, upregulate and downregulate the gene expression that needs to be regulated. And this is why we have these amazing results. It's because of the fact that it's activating our own bodies to do the work.
Absolutely.
And we have two versions of the Axio. One of them is caffeinated. The other version is decaf. And so oftentimes we're asked, well, should I give my child the caffeinated one? The answer is absolutely yes. And there's a specific reason why. So they should be drinking both of them. So Camille, can you talk about why when sometimes parents are like, oh my gosh, I only want to give my child the decaffeinated, but the fact that there's an ingredient in the caffeinated that's really powerful for the kids as well. Can you share?
Absolutely. So I was the same way. I was like, give my hyperactive 4-year-old caffeine? No thanks. But I mean, even just as a pharmacist, knowing that the medications that are prescribed to our kiddos like that are stimulants and do have caffeine in it. And so it makes sense from a mechanism of action perspective, just that you want to stimulate the brain. Because usually we think like, oh, they're hyperactive, so we need to slow down the brain. But actually it's you want to stimulate the brain so that it can actually work and function like it's supposed to. And so I was like, well, I guess that makes sense. And then I love that the decaf is great, but the caffeinated one has the ingredient, the DMA that Brenda was talking about, which is huge for brain function. So that's why I always tell parents to take both or give their kids both, just because of just the DMA in it.
Yeah. And, if a parent needs to, sometimes parents will, give their child, half a pack of the caffeinated, and then maybe a full pack, or sometimes parents will mix the two together. They'll mix a decaf and a caffeinated together. In fact, that's what I always do. That's what I'm drinking right here. I want to mix them together. And then sometimes the parents will have the child, depending on the age of your child, maybe they'll drink half of it in the morning and half of it at night. I myself have some mental function challenges because I used to have really, really debilitating fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. And both of those autoimmune issues do come with cognitive dysfunction. So I use this brain food, if I will, to help me to focus better and to kind of have me have more mental clarity. So don't be afraid to give your child both of these products. Okay. Oh, and here's a couple examples real quick here. So this is, again, the power of the Axio. So Luke is one of our business partners' son, and he's amazing. And he was on the spectrum, and he was taking Protandim and doing really well and getting tons and tons of hours of therapy. Now, he had been going to the same chiropractor for a long time. And I don't know if you can see this here, but here's the power of Axio. When Axio first came out, his mom was like, I'm not going to give my son an energy drink. He doesn't need any more energy. The cardiologist on the team said, it's not about giving him more energy. It's about improving his brain function. So she said, okay, I trust you. I'm going to give it to him. Now, what you see here is Luke's classroom, 21 kids in the classroom. And what they did is in September, this was Axio, they tested their kids on knowing their letter names and letter sounds. And you see here where Luke doesn't even show up for the letter name, but he just shows up teeny tiny for knowing his letter sounds. So in comes Axio. She doesn't tell anybody whatsoever that he's drinking it. At school, he's retested in February. So this is simply September to February. And the only thing that they did differently was start to give Luke the Axio. And look where he tests. He tests way up here with all the other kids. And again, Luke didn't know what he was drinking. He was just drinking this juice, and all of a sudden, 3 different physicians that were treating Luke, they all were like, oh my gosh, within 3 weeks, they're like, okay, what's going on? Something's going on here. And you see it here in a very objective manner. And then like Camille was talking about as well, here you've got another child who, again, we see great results with not just kids on the spectrum, but also some parents in preparation for this were asking about kids with ADD ADHD, and here's a little guy with ADHD, and there's his writing sample before Axio, and here's his writing sample after Axio. Do you want to add anything else to that, Camille?
That's just awesome. I'm just looking at it. You have a couple stories I haven't heard, and I'm just blown
Yeah,
away.
yeah, it's really super powerful. And here's Hope, and she's the young lady that has ADHD, and again, you know, in and out of schools because it was so tough to regulate, and she was really struggling in school. And at one point, her mother finally decided, after much agonizing, to go ahead and give her I want to say it was the Concerta. Is that right?
Yeah.
She was on the Concerta, and the mother felt so sad because her daughter was just kind of like a zombie, kind of like not present. It took that medication calmed her down, but it took her personality away. So when she heard about our product, she said, and she's actually a physical therapist, and she said, you know what, I'm going to give this a shot. So she got Hope on Protandim and Axio, and she now is off of the Concerta and just on the Protandim, and she is a vibrant, happy little girl. And again, we're not making any claims, but just again, the idea of activation is super powerful. And that mama is super, super proud of her little one. So you guys may be wondering, we're talking about, kids on the spectrum, and then why are you showing me a skincare line? Well, I'm going to let Camille explain it because, again, I'm not the expert here on the kids with autism, and she is. So why don't you talk about why one might consider, especially the perfecting lotion and the anti-aging cream for the kiddos on the spectrum?
Yes. So I love the skincare line, not only because of the studies backing it, which, can I go into that, Brenda?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So LSU and the Skincare Foundation did a study on Protandim, and which birthed this line because they were like, this is some good stuff. You guys got to come up with a skincare line. Just because of the results that they saw in the study, it reduced skin cancer, melanoma by 33% incidence, and then spreading of the skin cancer melanoma by 57%, I think it was, which was huge. So when I read that study, I was like, that's crazy. And then just hearing stories of other kids on this, it's so much more than just, I think of just like a normal skincare line. And so, especially the anti-aging cream and perfective lotion for kids on the spectrum, because many are familiar that they have itchy skin, rashes, and eczema. Like I mentioned before, you can just see some pictures that Brenda just pulled up. But because they have impaired immunity, their immune system isn't as strong as others, and so they're more sensitive to different things. Like my son CJ, he can touch a plant and break out. He can touch some crumbs on a table and break out. And so things just like that, it's great because we can just throw some true science on it, and then it has the Nrf2 activation in all 4 of those products, which is great because it's like Protandim, but a topical form. So on your skin, again, natural ingredients. And so I love just not only will it it'll help you look younger and brighter skin, but it's deeper than that. And if you look at the pictures, I mean, these are drastic pictures. I'll let you explain them, Brenda, but yeah. Wow.
It's this is Nrf2 for the skin. So like Camille was saying, Louisiana State, because of what Protandim was doing for, in the models, in the body, they came back to the company and they said, can you guys take the science of activating Nrf2 and put it in a topical application? So think about this. Think about a child with autism that's got immune issues, like you said, Camille, and because of those immune issues, they have psoriasis or eczema or, some of the other issues. And so to be able to deal with that when they're having breakouts or, as an accompaniment to the issues that they're having. And so it's literally regenerating the skin cells topically, reducing the oxidative stress topically, and going 7 layers deep. And that's why you see this little baby here with psoriasis, and you see that how the skin is cleared up. You see this little baby here with eczema and the profound difference. And you see this guy here with eczema as well, and the difference that has made for him. And so, just the power of using all the products together, or just, kind of the ones that make sense. That's again, I talked to Camille and I said, well, do we include this? She goes, heck yeah, include the skincare, because the kid, a lot of kids on the spectrum have skin conditions that need to be addressed. Camille, what else? So that, you guys, that's kind of, let me just go ahead and stop sharing my screen here.
And I just want to say, I know if there's any moms out there, or parents or grandparents, or just anybody who's experiencing just the challenges of having a loved one with autism or Asperger's, or any child on the spectrum, just that if you guys have any questions, we're here and we're open, but just know that you're not alone. And I know it's so hard when you're in the midst of it. I know that there's so many things that you can't even probably tell others, because, you think they won't understand, or it's just challenging or difficult. Just know that I've been there. So feel free to, reach out to me, me and Brenda. We are so open. We're open books, and we're just here just to help and share this gift. That's all we want. And
that's the passion, right? That's the passion, because we see it for so many different people. And so just, so again, we talked about, what do we need to do to address these issues in the kids with autism? And so it's up to you now. And again, for those of you guys that are on this call, please feel free, or this webinar, go back to the person. And, some people will say sometimes, well, what do you, so we actually recommend for sure, the Protandim, and there's actually what's called an Activated Essentials Pack. It's called Activated Essentials Pack. And that Activated Essentials Pack is really about addressing those, all of those issues with respect to lowering inflammation, lowering oxidative stress, lowering, increasing glutathione by 300%, improving mitochondrial function, and improving the gut. That, if you order that particular trio, then that also comes, you get the benefit of free shipping. We always recommend the Axio, you guys. Now, I understand that sometimes people will have challenges with budget, okay? So ideally, you're gonna have your child on the Essentials, the Activated Essentials threesome, plus the Axio. That's ideal, okay? But if you have to make a trade-off, at the very least, what would you say, Protandim and Axio, and then ProBio, because people can be, what would you say?
Protandim and Axio for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, it's just to start if you have to have a trade-off. But.
Yeah, but for the most optimal results, it really is about the Activated Essentials as well as the Axio. So again, please get back to the person that invited you on the webinar. And what I'm going to do now, you guys, is I'm going to unmute the lines so that folks can ask any questions that you might have, and hopefully it won't be too crazy with folks jumping on. But let me go ahead and unmute folks. Actually, I'll do it from the... Okay, so we've unmuted everybody. So if you have a question that you would like to ask Camille, please feel free to do so now.
Or Brenda.
Or Brenda. Any questions? Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you to every person that jumped on the webinar this evening. We really appreciate your taking the time. Thank you, Camille, for co-hosting this webinar with me. one of the reasons that we do what we do is all about you sharing your story. The joy, I can see your joy. I can see the difference that these products have made in your son's life, in the lives of so many other people. So thank you again, everyone, for being on this webinar. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us or the person that invited you on the webinar. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.
Bye.